We're hopefully going to be that, one-stop podcast where they know they're going to come on and hear real information, not just the fluffy surface chit-chat. It's actual real life scenarios and real life feelings and stories and experiences and solutions as well. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Lessons Podcast. Thank you for all the feedback we've been getting. We absolutely love reading everything on the Instagram page and just knowing that you guys are listening and walking away with a new life lesson, whether it's about business or relationships or family. There's just always so much we can learn from each other. And I love getting these guests on board our podcast that are so vulnerable and open and honest and real about their experiences. And that brings us to our next guest. First of all, sorry, hubby, how are you today?
I'm very well.
I got my beautiful husband next to me, and next guest is someone called Preston Smiles. Now, Preston was
I'm very excited about having him on, by the way. I love you, Presto.
We were so excited to have Preston today. So Alexi and Preston worked together, and they were my personal coaches last year through a really difficult time. So I said to Alexi, Preston, we want to have another whole conversation on a different podcast about what you guys helped me through one of the darkest periods of my life. But let's talk about you. Welcome to the podcast. Who is Preston Smiles?
Yay. First and foremost, thank you guys for making this happen. And I don't just mean with me, I mean in general. I mean the allowing yourselves to stretch out of who you've been known as and to give this gift is a big deal. And as somebody who's, we're not in the same work, but I understand what it takes to create something that's really big and sustainable. And it's a whole nother sort of set of skills to move and lean into something that you isn't your bread and butter. And so I want to acknowledge both of you separately and individually for stepping in and being a space for this to happen.
Thank you.
That is beautiful.
Really
that just literally in my heart, I felt like it moved. It was like warm.
Because it is exactly that, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's something we're
passionate about, but we're really scared to start this podcast. It's definitely out of our comfort zone, but we just feel like we have so much to talk about. And Alexi worded it perfectly in her pod when she spoke to us. It's like, it's almost selfish not to share the experiences and the lessons.
But also just having the ability to sit down and have connect and have a conversation. We're all in busy lives, and when do you get to sit down and have a conversation like this in life, in this busy life?
It's so powerful.
It's been awesome so far.
Yeah, for sure. And to answer your question, who is Preston Smiles? I'm still figuring that out myself. That's one of those things that will forever be changing and evolving. But the essence of who I am is pure love, pure light. I'm a fire starter. I'm an activator. I'm a $1 million businessman. I'm a freaking beautiful father. I love being a dad and a husband. And I facilitate transformational work. Some people call me a messenger of love. Whatever you want to call me, doesn't matter as much as what I want people to feel when they are around me. And really not just around me, but when they think of me.
Wow.
In regards to themselves, because I believe that a part of why I'm even here is to remind people of their own magic and to really own it and get out of the mindset of when I get the car, the money, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the kid, the anything, fill in the blank, the red dress, the whatever, then I'll be good enough. And the reality is that if we could see ourselves as God sees us, like whatever that means to you, whatever your God is, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, Jesus, source energy, whatever you want to call that. But if you could see yourself with a bird's eye view and see how perfect you are, like how you guys look at Taj is how, in my opinion, God is looking at you. Whatever created us was like, yo, I did not make a mistake with Ashy or Steve. They are both perfect, whole, and complete, but not finished. And that process of really owning that, I'm sure you've seen it in your own son. He doesn't have that self-awareness of, I'm ugly or I'm not good enough yet. The world hasn't tainted him in that way yet. Yes. And I think that all of us can get back to that in some form or fashion. And that's what I'm here for.
Wow. I love that, mate. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it just, I can feel the feel how true that is in the way you say that. You know, that was not a script. That is coming from the heart. And
100%.
so you've been on a huge journey, and you're a busy man right now. I can see that you're attacking the world from every area. Not
Writing books, doing courses, speaking, being a dad.
Yeah, and you've gone through a few transitions in life, I'm sure, as well. But what would say if you have so many lessons, you share lessons every day to people all around the world, and but there has to be one that stands out the most for you. Not so much from, well, it could be from teaching a lot of people that you see a pattern, but if there was one lesson that you could give that has served you above all others, it's a big question. But what would it be?
It's hard to nail it down to one, but we're really wanting to ask everyone, just one major lesson that's really shifted things.
Okay, so it's something I teach, and it's a concept. And so I'll give you 2 parts of it, and then I'll give you the story behind it. So
love that.
I remind everybody and myself on a daily basis to fill my cup and then give from the overflow. What's in my cup is mine, and what overflows is yours. Yes. And I think a lot of people do it the other way around. We spend a lot of our lives trying to fill everybody else's cup, and whatever's left over for us, we'll take. And that's been one of the biggest lessons of my life. Now, the part 2 to that, about 10 years ago, I was reading a book called Conversations with God, book 1. And I have this memorized because I've read the book over 100 times. But you ever just read something or see something that changes your life forever? You just cannot go back from there.
Yeah, for sure.
This was one of those moments for me, and it was a quote, and I didn't even completely understand it until years later. So that's how complex it was. Okay. So the quote is, "You cannot have what you want, but you may experience what you have."
Yes.
And I literally just sat in that what? What the hell does that mean?
Can you repeat that for us? Can you repeat that one more time? I just want to really sink into that.
I'm going to repeat it, and then I want you to tell me what you think it means. Okay? So we're going to reverse this thing for a second. I'm going to interview you guys.
I'm still processing it. I'm still trying to process that.
Okay, you cannot have what you want, but you may experience what you have.
Yes.
Can't have what you want, but you may experience what you have. What does that mean to you guys?
Well, for me, want is something that you're wanting to obtain in the future, or something you want to go and get, or something you want to grab, whereas experiencing is having you can experience in the now. So everything you've got now, you can have that experience. So that's what I took from that.
Yeah, and I took it more similar, not wanting things, but experiencing the now and the feeling and the being, the present right now. I can have all those experiences and feeling rather than looking for this and that and having this and that, the materialistic things. I took it more
to make you feel. Yeah.
I took it more as a feeling, like being now.
Yes, yes, and yes. All of that is a yes. And that quote and that lesson has unfolded in so many ways for me. And it's literally a day-to-day, moment-to-moment reminder. Because I'm sure you guys have been there. I have friends who are millionaires, who are poor. And I've also traveled in some of the poorest places in the world and experienced some of the most wealthy, happiest people I've ever met. And both of those examples are an example of that quote. Because you cannot have what you want, but you may experience what you have. And so if I'm making $20 million a year, but I'm constantly wanting 30, and when I get 30, I got to have 40, and I'm not enough until I have 50, and I'm not enough until I have 60, or if fill in the blank, whatever that thing is, then the universe, God, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, Jesus says yes, perfect, and so it is. You get more lack and limitation. You get more scarcity mindset. While, take some of the villages in Africa that I visit every year. These people are freaking amazing, and they know it. They know they're blessed beyond measure because they have family, they have health, they have each other, they have the land. And because of that, they get more of it. More what? Joy, harmony, connection. All of that they get more of because the universe, God, only says yes. And that's been one of the biggest lessons of my life is remembering that I am co-creating with the creator, that I can live by default, which is what most of us do and what I did up until 27 years old, or I can live by design. And now I'll go into the story of how I even really got to that.
Love that.
And here's the thing, and I'm not sure if you guys have the same story, but I didn't set out to be what I am, right? Like I didn't consciously say, oh, I'm gonna go speak around the world and motivate and inspire people and lead workshops. I didn't even know what a workshop was. I didn't read a book, period, until I was 22 years old. The first book I ever read myself, because I was placed in special education classes because I'm dyslexic. I'm experiencing dyslexia. I'm on the tail end of it. But based on the way that I grew up, none of this stuff was in my sort of purview. I would have never guessed that I would be where I am today. However, when I was 25 years old, I started experiencing these crazy heart palpitations, like to the point where, and I had never been a doctor kind of guy. I was just like, oh, doctor, schmocker, I don't need a doctor. I'll take some Tylenol and like wipe it off and get back in the game. And so I started experiencing these heart palpitations to the point where I was like, okay, this is kind of a lot. It's like, a few times an hour all day at this point. And I said, okay, maybe you don't want to mess with the heart, so let me go check. So I go to a doctor and she instantly checks and she's like, you need to see a cardiologist today. So she sends me from that point straight over to a cardiologist's office and books me in as an emergency. So this guy opens up a space for me to go there. I'm 25 years old, I'm a kid. And he runs a couple tests, asks me some questions, takes some blood work, and then sends me off with this machine that's connected to my chest. And I'm supposed to wear this for the next, I think it was 48 hours. So they just wanted to monitor my heartbeat, go through the blood work, and then I was gonna come back in 2 days. So I come back with this machine that I've been carrying around all day that's connected to my chest. And he sits me down and he's asked me two questions that changed my life forever. And this goes back to fill your cup and give from the overflow. Okay. So the first question was what is your diet like? And, I'm a 25-year-old kid raised in Western culture. So I explained, I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? He's like, food, what do you eat? I said, oh, that's easy. McDonald's, Burger King, drink beer, a bunch of cheese, just, I don't know, I eat chicken every day. And I just started explaining how I ate, period. Sloppy Joes, just lots of creams and all that stuff. And then the second question he asked me was, what are your stress levels like? And I was 25 and I didn't even understand what that meant. It's like, what do you mean by stress? The internet didn't even exist at this point. So it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And well, maybe it did exist, but nobody had like smartphones or anything like that, right? So none of the stuff that's so easy for us to get to these days, it wasn't that for me. I'm almost 40. And so I didn't understand his question. And so I said, could you break that down? And he said, well, sometimes in life, we have heavy things we're dealing with. And those things can break down the body in a way that can harm us and hurt us. And one of the leading causes of death for people in America is heart disease. And it's usually stress related, stress and diet. And I said, okay. So he said, tell me about your life. And I began to explain that one of my, somebody really close to me was addicted to drugs most of my life. And I made it my mission. I felt like if I didn't make it as an actor, if I didn't make it and make a bunch of money, that this person would die of an overdose. And so for a gigantic portion of my life, especially the last 5 years leading up to the heart thing, I was stressed out every day. Every audition, everything I did, I brought this level of stress to it, where I was like, this has to be it, because if this isn't it, and I don't make it soon, then this person is going to die. Wow. And so just imagine thinking like life or death, everything you go into. And obviously you guys know this and you can pick this up. that would cause a lot of stress on a 25-year-old body that had been eating terrible food since birth almost.
Well, that's, yeah, hard to function.
Yes, terrible. And so to end this story, which is really the beginning of my life, like I feel like I was born at that moment. He gave me some pills that he said I would take for the rest of my life because my grandmother and some other people in my family had died of heart attacks, and my dad was having some heart situation that I would probably need to come back in quite a bit, and that this was the beginning of probably something really not so great for me. Mm-hmm. And so I left the doctor's office completely defeated and deeply upset because I didn't understand. Yep. The same people that raised me, they ate the same things I did. They stressed the same. All the stuff that they did, I did.
Yep.
And so this, and oftentimes all of us, we have these catalyst moments in our lives where something happens and we have to make a huge decision. And for me, I was really hurt and kind of sad. And then that sadness turned to anger, right? The stages of grief. And I was just really mad. Like, why me? I'm a kid, right? You can mess with a lot of things, but if you jack up that heart, you're done for. Everything else can be messed up. Your heart goes, your brain goes, you're dead. And I didn't want to die. So I told a few people, my girlfriend at the time, and her mother reached out to me and said, hey, Preston, I know you don't read, but there's this book that I just got by Jerry and Esther Hicks called Ask and It Is Given. And I think that you would really love this book. And I was so desperate, I said, fine, I'll take it. And so the next day I saw her, I got the book, and I went and sat under a tree, and I read the first few pages. And in this book, and this is going to be stupid and silly to you guys, but to me, it was the most, I mean, literally my mind exploded. In the book, I'm 25, I have a master's degree. It says, your thoughts become things and you create your own reality. And I went, are you effing kidding me? I have a degree, 2 of them. And not one thing in all of my schooling has ever said that. Not one. Think about it.
Yep.
Did that show up in your school?
No. Later teaching for sure. Yep. Definitely.
I was like, what the hell is this?
Yes.
Instantly. Like it was like a portal opened in my brain. And I was like, what? And that began this crazy process. The Secret came out a month later. And then that led me to this movie called Zeitgeist. And then I became essentially an angry vegan. I denounced my religion. I was like everybody's worst spiritual like enemy. Like I was that guy who was on his high horse thinking that he was the best thing since sliced bread. And it wasn't until I read this quote by the Buddha that said, you will not be punished for your anger, but by it, that I realized that I was getting better. My skin was getting better and my heart was doing better, but it didn't feel better. Like everything was looking better, didn't feel better. Yep. And then this is when I realized that I was so angry at religion and at my parents and at society as a whole for not telling us that eating a bunch of fast food would kill you and all of these things. I was so angry that I couldn't be the space that was truly being asked of me. And so this is when I began to turn it around and go, okay, you need to fill your cup. You need to fill your cup in such a way that the overflow is so beautiful that people come from miles and miles away to drink from your overflow. And I created a YouTube channel, and I could go on, but the rest is history from there. So that's really like my big lesson that sort of took off and landed me where I am today.
That I actually got that quote off you probably about a year or two ago in our relationship. When we were had conflict or struggles, it was usually because both our cups were empty at the time, or one person was. And the difference is, when both of our cups are full and we're overflowing into our relationship, it's just a different level, isn't it? It's like
100%.
And I think even And you did give us that massively, and it really has transformed a lot of things.
Yeah, we find when we're disconnected or there is conflict, we like pull ourselves out and go, okay, let's have a look. Yep, we're feeling a little empty. I haven't been able to do this and that to fill my cup up. And I'm, I always like to say, you've got to fill your own cup up. Otherwise, you'll give everyone the rest of you instead of the best of you. And I love that. It's funny on social media, obviously we've went through a lot of coaching together about online hate. And I still to this day, if I say I'm taking a couple of days off to fill my cup up, there's a lot of people that just slam it. Oh, she's got to fill her cup up. Oh, she's going to go get a massage. And, I just laugh at it now because it is so important, because I do want to give the best of me to everyone, not the rest of me. I don't want to give the rest of me to my son, the last little bit of patience I've got, the last bit of energy. I don't want to give Steve the rest of me when I've helped the world and I'm leaving the most important person in my life for a little bit left over. You know what I mean? It is so important. And yeah, we definitely have learned that from you. And it's something we consciously, every single week, we schedule in time with our friends, time together as a date night, time with Taj, time for our work, time for me, time for health and fitness, time for Zen out. Like that's very, very important. And it's something I live by each day. So I love that lesson. I love it. Lights me up. I'm like excited.
Yeah. Do you ever still have challenges with slipping into your old patterns? And I mean,
no, he's perfect.
I guess for us, we're battling being people pleasers.
Yes.
And it's something that we're
aware of. And
but
have to pull ourselves up on a lot. And we've obviously, even the last time I saw you, Preston, you and Alexi went down to the Saturday Cafe, and I remember talking to you about I'm feeling this with my friend, but I don't want to talk to her about it. And you just said, well, you're just people pleasing. You're not living your authentic self. You can't even go to your friend and tell her how you're feeling. All you're doing is pleasing her. You don't care about your own feelings. And I was just like, holy shit, I feel like he just whacked me with 3 baseball bats, but whacked me with the truth. And, it's so important for this conversation to be had.
Yeah, it's such a good lesson.
Sorry, I did interrupt though. Yeah, do you ever fall back into, and I made a joke about you being perfect because a lot of people would look into your life or social media and, people assume, oh, they've just, they've done the self-development so they don't struggle with that anymore. But we all fall back into those patterns and those little voices come back in, and it's about being aware and conscious to go, oh, hang on a second, okay, that's slipping back in. So what happens when that does slip back in?
Because you do serve a lot of people.
Yeah, you give out a lot.
Yeah, it does happen. It happens, quite a bit. I think the difference between those who live ordinary lives and those who live extraordinary lives is how fast they can catch it and move back to alignment.
Oh, that's so
alignment is different for everybody. Sometimes the most aligned thing that I can do is shut everything off and grab my surfboard and go surfing.
Yes.
Other times, sometimes the most aligned thing I can do in my relationship when we're arguing about something so stupid is walk over to her and say, can we start over? But before we do that, can I have a hug? Yeah. Like literally that's the most aligned thing I can do. And it's always moving and changing. But to me, that's the difference between someone who lives extraordinary and someone who lives ordinary, someone who lives design and somebody who lives default, right? Default is just everyday humdrum, same thing every day. It's sort of this sort of
autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot rat race thing where we're not aware. And awareness comes before choice, right? If I don't have an awareness of how to get out of this room, if I don't have an awareness or a distinction called door or doorknob, then I may find myself in here for a lot longer than I'd like to, or I may find myself very bloody and get really hurt. But the moment I have that distinction, the whole world changes. Why? Because as soon as I understand door and doorknob, a whole new possibility opens up for me.
I also love how you said the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is how fast you can catch it, because I truly believe that. Rewind how many years ago, I don't know, a long time ago, and even now sometimes it's like you fall back into that victim mentality and you catch it. And I still believe, and it's allow everything to come up, feel everything. I sometimes even say to myself, like, you're gonna have a pity party for 15 minutes, you can feel the victim, why is this happening to me, it's not fair, here are the trolls again, or this is so hard. And then it's like, catch it, okay, I'm not going to live here. This is not my emotional home. I'm more aware, I'm more awake, and I'm going to move through this. And I do believe that the people that live an extraordinary life and are happier more often is because they can catch it rather than slipping back into that victim mentality and choosing to stay there because it's too uncomfortable to grow and to take the lesson. It's easier, or sometimes they get significance and love when they're a victim, so it's how fast you can catch it. I love the way you explained ordinary and extraordinary, because that was a light bulb moment for me. What about you?
Yeah. I'd love to ask a question about how it went becoming a father. How has that changed that? Because now it's not just about you, and it does throw a bit of a spanner in the works as far as your own time, your own space, your own
a spanner. I like how long that is.
It's probably an Australian word, that one. I'm not sure if you
it is. It's totally
makes things a little challenging.
How was that? Because you're an amazing father. We've spent time with you and your little boy.
Yeah.
And they do require a lot of your time and space, and to juggle everything else. Like how do you put yourself first in a lot of occasions so you cannot overpour?
Yeah, man, that's definitely the trickiest place.
Great question.
In not necessarily the parenting of Kingston, but the navigating with my wife. That's where the challenge is, because both of us have a justice thing. And so there's a thing in both of us around equality. And so the timing of like who's going to take care of them when, and all of that stuff becomes this interesting little dance that's literally going to be happening for 18 years, if not even longer. And so I think one of the biggest things that I do that has made everything just a lot easier to navigate is I don't expect it to be any different. This is now a part of my life. I think a lot of people get, they have kids and they want it to be how it used to be. And so they have this resentment of their life before.
They have to divorce their old life.
Yes. I've let go of that. And I understand that what I'm creating, what I'm building, Kingston is a part of that. Alexi is a part of that. And so I find ways, first of all, the biggest joy that I experience in my life right now is watching him do anything. When he giggles, last night he was up at freaking 12 midnight, literally crying because he wanted to get out of his crib. I went in there. I'm doing this thing. I'm laying him back down in his crib. He gets back up. He's mad. He's shaking the crib. He's like, "Screw you, buddy!" Crying. Let me out. Let me out. Alexi comes in, which is, the moment mom comes in, it's over, right? Because he then takes his focus off of me, and he's like, "Mommy," like instant, right? And she can't help it. She has to pick him up and take him out, which is why I usually go in there, because otherwise he's going to end up in our bed. And so she comes in, she takes him out of the crib, and as soon as we walk out of our room, the moment we take 2 steps out of his room and into ours, he starts laughing. So he was crying and mad and, "Oh, I'm so hurt, I'm teething." The moment he's like, "Oh, am I out?" Yes, and he started
party time.
I was dying. I wanted to sleep. I'm freaking super tired. However, I made that moment be one of joy.
Yeah, I love that.
I think it comes down to that. It's like choosing to be entertained, choosing to find the beauty,
the magical moment in this. Yeah,
that's something we definitely struggle with kids. Like I know personally, I'll put my hand up when I'm frustrated, and even this last couple of weeks, Taj has definitely been more. I feel like he's got a bit of energy and anger, and I'm really trying to help him embrace it. But there is moments that it's really frustrating, and I suppose in those moments I haven't chosen the joy. I've chosen that, this is frustrating. So I really like hearing that, because it's like every opportunity, every tantrum, every time they say why, instead of being annoyed at it, being like finding the beauty, and like, this is a chance, to teach him, or this is a chance to grow or help him through this emotional time. When I'm emotional, I'm having a meltdown, maybe not a tantrum, but a meltdown. I want Steve's support to say, "It's okay, I'm here." So to try and find the beauty in that, instead of sitting in that frustration. So it's really nice to hear that, how you found joy in being up in the middle of the night when you're bloody tired, because that's hard. That is really hard.
Would you agree that the first year or two really is, I mean, you really do need to put their needs first in a lot of the times. You know, that there's where your lesson is, you know, it's fill up your own cup before you and the overflow. But with a 1 or 2 year old, it doesn't happen. It you sort of, it has to go out the window. You have to schedule times in where you have to make that a priority. It doesn't flow naturally.
Well, here's what I'd say, Steve. I'd say that I make Kingston a part of my own cup.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I don't separate him as different. And even though he is, and he's his own person, anytime I get to spend with him, I make that in my mind, because we can just trick the mind. I make that a part of filling my cup. Anytime I get, and here's the thing, man, and I hate to bring this in, but it's one of the things that makes it really easy for me. I know that there are people who will never have the opportunity to hug and kiss their child.
Yeah.
Because their child died in the first 2 months, or you know, they can't get pregnant, or you name it. Like, there are a lot of people who would pay thousands, millions to be in my position. And so every time I find myself super frustrated and like, oh, this kid thing, I just remind myself, like, yo, this is not a forever thing. Here, literally, this whole thing will be over in a blink of an eye. And so you can miss it thinking that you need to spend time in front of your computer, or you can stop and be present with your beautiful, amazing, stubborn, crazy ass child and actually have, like, make that a part of your cup filling. And so I choose that over and over and over again. And now it's to the point where it's easy. But of course, transition wise, in the beginning, it was definitely a little more challenging, especially just like the type of demand. But I also remind myself, like, I've been in the middle of India and in parts of Africa where they have literally not even 2% of the, like, conveniences, like nappies and wipes and just little things like that. Like, they don't have those things, and yet they raise these beautiful, amazing, powerful people. And so who am I to complain? You know?
Yeah.
Reality check. I love that. That's awesome. I've spoken about that on my social media before too, and it's something I have in my mind as well. Even through the newborn stages, because I obviously receive a lot of messages on Instagram daily about, you know, women that miscarry or have stillbirths or can't fall pregnant. And even through all those hard times, it is always in the forefront of my mind that I'm so lucky to have one beautiful child. And I feel a lot of pressure, you know, every day I'm asked, when's your next one? When's your next baby? When's your next baby? And I'm like, hang on, I'm just so grateful right now to have one beautiful, healthy boy. If I never have another baby, of course I would love another one, 100%. My time's not right now, but one day in the future I would like another one. But for now, I'm just sitting in this place of gratitude to have one healthy baby boy that I can, you know, help learn and be there for and help provide, give him a beautiful life. So no, I really love that. It's really beautiful, making him a part of your cup.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that lesson on for sure.
Because it's hard getting caught up in work and business and this has got to be done, this person needs me, and, you know, getting frustrated if they need you at the same time. Then, you know, it is a juggle once again. You've got these balls up in the air, but to just stop and say, okay, well, those emails can wait, you know. I've got him here in front of me saying, hey, Mum, hey, Dad, love me. And embracing those moments, because it does go so quickly. Like, Taj is nearly 4. Yeah. What the hell?
It goes so quick.
It does.
It has been an amazing
conversation
chance to come on. Both you guys, we respect and love you so much. I just want to honor everything you're doing online at the moment, especially for men. It's you are a guiding light. You're a shining star,
especially for men. I love that too, that you said especially for men, because I feel like so many men have grown up to shush, be quiet, toughen up, stop being a pussy, be a man, you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to feel. And you've created the space online and offline in your courses for men to step into their feelings and step into their power and, you know, really connect to themselves on another level. And once they connect to themselves, they really can build a stronger relationship with their intimate partners and their children. And the content you give out online is just incredible, and in your courses, and you're an author as well. So for all of our listeners, where can they find you?
At Preston Smiles on anything, and you can find all that stuff. I'm mainly on Instagram and YouTube, but you can also find me on Facebook, and my website is prestonsmiles.com.
We'll have all that information underneath in the show notes. And also, I think Lexi just talked to us about potentially doing one on relationship with you guys on your podcast. That's a nice, a lovely area to get into, nice and juicy, and
definitely.
Yeah, we'd love to get.
I think like anything, it's being with people that are not afraid to be authentic and real and share the ups and downs, because through the messiness and through the darkness, there is so many incredible lessons, and that's where I feel the best ones come out of, is those hard times. So we can be a victim, or we can say, oh, how is this going to shape me? Ask those empowering questions, what is the gift in this? What is the lesson? How can I move through this? How can this assist me and other people around me? So we're really excited to dive into that with you. But thank you so much for coming on board today.
I know you're a busy man.
We appreciate your time so much. We value it, and we're really, really grateful you're here today.
Thank you so much. Love you guys. And thank you, listeners. Anybody who's stuck in and made it this far, we appreciate your time. We know that you can spend it anywhere, and you're spending it with us. And that's a big deal. So thank you.
Well said.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, guys. That is another podcast wrapped up with Preston Smiles. Hope you guys tune in for our next one. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
So much good stuff from Preston. Feel like we barely scratched the surface, so we'll definitely have to get him back again for more.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Lessons Podcast. We're going to leave all of our guest social media handles below and on our Instagram page. And remember, we'd love to hear from you. So please jump on over to our Lessons Podcast Insta page to tell us what you think.
Plus, if you share a screenshot of the episode on your Insta stories and tag our Lessons Podcast Instagram, you'll automatically get a 20% discount off the entire range of Hideaway bath and body products, and be entered into a weekly draw for a Hideaway gift pack valued at $75. So don't miss out.
Don't forget to join us on the Lessons Podcast next week for another inspiring guest and fantastic life lesson. If you think you've got a lesson to share, we'd love to hear from you. Hit the link in the description box to get in touch. Bye.